Welcome to the 108th episode of the Karstcast movie cast.
You didn't think we'd make it that far.
No, you did not. But here we are. People just really doubt us these days, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Big doubt energy coming from the Karst heads.
What is the capital of Gabon?
You know what? So I didn't know what this question was going to be, but when you started saying capital, I was really hoping. I knew it was going to be obscure, but I was really hoping it was going to be Chad because I actually know the capital of Chad.
What is it?
Gabon, I don't. The capital of Chad's like N'Djamena.
Impressive.
Gabon, though, do they speak French in Gabon? I think they might because it's near Senegal. Mm-hmm. I think. I could be wrong. So I'm gonna say something that's French, okay.
Like croissant.
Like Port Saint Louis or something.
You were close. I do think this is part French. It's Libreville, spelled Libreville, and I think that sounds like Libre.
It does sound French, so without looking it up, I'm going to say I was close.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah. Actually, this is a better question. I kind of want to ask this just while we're on the topic, to be honest, really quick.
Yeah.
Where did the word hamburger first appear in the U.S.?
What does that mean? Like
the word when did it first, when did someone first describe something? Or where? Yeah, where was it first described as a hamburger?
Okay, I'm going to say it has to be like the World's Fair.
Okay.
The 1892 World Fair.
Yeah. It is in a Walla Walla newspaper. Whatever.
Okay, I was way off.
But kind of close. Walla Walla World.
World's Fair.
World's Fair.
W. They start with a W, so.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So, Jeff, from what I know, you have some drinks with us today.
Yeah, so here's the situation. I am going to Texas.
Right.
And then Chicago.
Yeah.
To see our guy over there, Karsten. Mm-hmm. But my parents, in the meantime, are moving. So this is the last time I'm doing the podcast from this location. And when you're moving, you have to get rid of all of your stuff. So I have some drinks that I've been not drinking because they're bad or weird. And I figured what better time to drink them
than for the podcast.
Than now on this podcast.
Yeah.
So here's what they are. This first one is this weird hydration sport mix that I have a bottle of water I have to mix it into.
I was about to say, that is not a drink. That's a candy bar.
It's a
powder
mix.
Okay, yeah.
It's a powder, yeah. I guess it's scratch. It really looks like it's scratch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to mix that.
It's like a Mio. Have you ever had Mio? Because I feel like those are pretty.
This is hard to open.
Pretty legit.
Are you kidding me?
So for the listeners at home, Jeff can't open the packet. He can't open his drink.
It's so thick.
Yeah, I think it's like a
pull.
I got
the
there we go.
I did it from the bottom.
All right,
that old trick.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
Wait, how am I gonna get this in here?
That's what I was thinking.
Why?
It's a little hard to. I think you pour it in your hand and then do like a nice little like.
It's gonna take a long time. I just realized because I have to be so precise.
Yeah.
I'm slowly pouring powder while spilling some.
So, once again, for the listeners at home, Jeff is pouring some powder into his water bottle.
This was a terrible segment idea. Why did I pick this?
We're on beverage number 1.
So, Karsten, you released a video on Saturday, right?
Yeah, well, Jeff does this.
How was that? How was the reception?
Oh, the reception is it's a little weak, but that's to be expected with TV shows. Not everyone has seen the TV shows, but I'm sure it'll catch some steam, or pick up some steam. But the real thing is I've been going viral on TikTok recently, so that's been exciting.
Have you?
I have, yeah. Where
So is my brother.
really for counting the states, right? Or other things.
No,
now.
more than that. Like yesterday, he had one that is now at like 2.5 million views.
2.5 million?
Yeah,
Dog.
it's just like a clip from their podcast.
Good for them. That's not the numbers I was doing, but that's very impressive.
What numbers were you doing?
I was doing a solid 200K, which is not terrible.
That's pretty good. I haven't. Here's the thing. I'm done packing now, so when I get around to clipping our podcast,
we're gonna be on that.
We are doing. Follow us on TikTok.
Follow us on TikTok
at Karstcast.
Yeah, we're gonna be on the talk.
Yeah, we're gonna be.
We're talking on the talk.
I think we're gonna. We're talking on the talk. We're gonna get 1 million views.
Yeah.
All right. So I finished mixing this great Labs hydration mix. It's supposed to be strawberry lemonade. It looks just like that, like water in a pond.
Yeah, it looks like you got that from a lake. Jeez, that honestly looks disgusting. But
I mean, it's not bad.
Not terrible.
It's just like
Definitely.
why? It's not better than water.
Right.
And you know what else is? Because it says it's a hydration mix, so it's supposed to hydrate you.
Yeah.
You know what else hydrates you?
Water.
Water.
Yeah.
Water does that too, and it doesn't taste weird. Okay, so that was the first drink that I've been putting off drinking. And this segment is not done. You would think to yourself, they can't possibly have a segment about weird drinks that is lasting this long.
Yeah.
But we do. And this one, I've had one before because for some reason there was 2 of them. And it is terrible. It is the worst coffee drink I've ever had, and I'm going to drink it. It's, if you ever see this, super coffee
Mocha.
with MCT oil and protein, do not buy this. It is atrocious.
Yeah. So you're going to finish it off.
Maybe not finish it.
It doesn't seem like it'd be that bad, you know?
It's, no, you, I don't know how they did it, but it's bad. All right, anyways, let's move on to the news.
Yeah. No, you got your beverages out of the way. I had an error message on my Logic, but it's still recording, so I think we're good.
Okay, perfect.
So
yeah, worst case.
Worst case.
You know what's kind of awkward, actually? What? Okay, real quick. What room are you in?
Oh yeah, so we never addressed that. I'm in So I'm in California right now, visiting some family.
Okay.
Which I guess is a good conversation. I flew for the first time in over a year. And you know what? I'm not going to encourage people to fly, but I do think it's safe to fly depending on your vaccination process.
Initially thought that you had to be like crazy to be flying now, but then I looked at a lot of the science, and apparently flying is actually like
it's pretty safe.
Safer than it's like safer than like going to a mall.
Yeah, because like the air is like very
it's very circulated. So it's pretty much you just have to not be super unlucky, and you need the people immediately next to you to not have COVID.
Yeah,
and if they don't have COVID, you're good. If they have COVID, you're getting
COVID.
You're absolutely getting it if the people right next to you have it. But if they don't, you're good.
Yeah. So I felt decent about flying because I was like, I'm at least 80% immune. So I did it, and I was freaking out most of the flight. I feel like that's just to be expected. I think I'm having a hard time adjusting because I'm like...
Were you freaking out just because you're like, oh my God, I'm in a flying box?
Yeah,
or was it because of COVID?
It was I'm in a flying box, and the flying boxes could have a deadly virus inside. And I'm like...
You're like, this box is going how fast?
Yeah. I'm like, wait, we're in the air? Yeah, it was pretty scary, I'm not going to lie. Especially because it's like they hand out these snack boxes and then people just take off their masks to eat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we might as well not have our masks on, if I'm being honest.
Right. That's the thing, right? It's so weird how they're like, yeah, don't masks, but then you're allowed to eat.
Yeah, they're like, but if you have to eat, feel free to remove the mask. I'm like, okay, well, if they have COVID, they're going to expose everyone. So it's like, doesn't really.
Dude, what they should have is like so like a slot that you can like slide the food in, and then it's like it's like those things they have for horses that hold the food in the thing.
Yeah, that would work. I think everyone would be very on board with that.
Yeah.
I think they should mash up the food, and we have to sip our food from now on, from underneath our masks.
Like what would the pilot announcement for that be? It's like, we have now reached 10,000 feet. Feel free to slide food down your food hole.
Feel free
to utilize
open that
the
hole.
food slot.
Yeah, we'll be passing around pretzels and.
But they're pretzel sticks.
Pretzel sticks.
The big ones wouldn't fit in the slot.
In the slot, yeah, for your food hole. Please let us know.
The only candy bar they sell is a Twix.
In the event of a broken food hole, please contact a flight attendant. I'm just gonna name the episode "Food Hole." The attendant would get you a new food hole. I don't know.
Would they have like one of those things to clean, like clarinets?
Yeah,
where they
just,
like,
jab it in your food. So yeah. Anyways, I went on a plane and I'm here. Now I'm here. And I'm enjoying it. It's been a nice change of scenery, beautiful weather, sunny California.
Yeah. Now, the reason I brought up the new background was because I was going to say it's kind of funny how it looks like you're wearing a propeller hat.
Oh God, it does.
I
registered that as soon as I opened up Zoom, and then I was like, well, I got to make sure to turn that off before we start. And there it is. It just keeps going.
Which you absolutely could pull off one of those propeller hats.
I do.
You had one for Halloween.
I did?
As Timmy Turner.
I did. You're right. That year. Oh my God. When I went as Timmy Turner. And I took like a cardboard, like white cardboard, and cut out teeth and just shoved them in my teeth, and it did not look good at all. Yeah,
but the hat was
good. Hat was good, as well as the pink shirt.
The teeth was a weird
were
touch.
Definitely weird. But other than that was a good Halloween. I do think someone threw up that night. Was not me. I did not throw up. I just watched.
There you go. Yeah, you borrowed my fog machine.
I did. Yeah. Well, we did.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No, I have a question.
Okay.
I'm like trying to downsize. Do you want that fog machine? I think I still have it.
Let me think about that. I could probably find some use for it. I would imagine.
It would be really cool for YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Do you have like an intro of like fog coming up, and then you like come pop through the fog and sit in your chair?
For my sponsor reads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling foggy, and then I get sponsored by like
you do neurotropics or something.
Yeah.
It's like gorilla mindset. Feeling foggy? Take this un-FDA authorized drug. It probably won't help, and it might be dangerous.
All right, news for today. Boom, boom, boom. Where is it? I thought I copied it, but guess not. But this one comes from TheVerge.com. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, Jeff, but Amazon's The Lord of the Rings series to cost $465 million for just the first season.
Here's the thing. I didn't see that on. I saw a clickbait headline that was like, "You're never gonna guess how much this series is gonna cost," and then I didn't click on it, so I didn't know.
And now you know.
Yeah.
Which honestly, that seems. I will be honest. I saw a rumor floating around maybe like 2 months ago that it was gonna cost $1 billion, and I was like, Jesus Christ! So this is still a lot of money, but a downsize from what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah. That is how much was like the final season of Game of Thrones? Do we know that?
I'm gonna look up. What is it? Game of Thrones, season 8 budget. It was $15 million per episode. Mm-hmm. So that's I don't know how many episodes.
How many episodes?
Now we're doing math. Game of Thrones season 8 episodes. So let's hold on to 15. Oh, it's only 6 episodes? What?
Wow.
Jesus. So
I never watched Game of Thrones. I've seen the first episode of the whole series, and that's it.
Jeez. Wait, 15 times 6, 3 is 45. 45 times 2, 9.
Yeah,
90,
it's 90 million.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just not even a quarter
nothing.
of what.
Yeah. That's like Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the That's just one ring.
You just
That's
get one
the
ring for 90
court
million.
jester of the ring.
Okay, I actually have never read or watched the Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah.
I don't actually really. I only vaguely know what it's about.
Yeah.
But is there more than one ring?
No, there's just one ring from what I remember.
Shouldn't it be Lords of the Ring then?
I know that would make more sense, but I think there's like multiple rings, but they're like the series centers around one ring. Yeah, but
Okay.
I
mean, it also Lords of the Ring.
Lords
does not
of the
sound
Ring.
as good.
Yeah, no one's excited to see that. I was gonna say, yeah, about a year ago, I watched them all for the first time for a video. So
Oh, you did a video
Yeah,
for that. Yeah,
it
I just
just-
remember. I didn't watch that video, but I remembered you did that
Yeah.
video. And I only didn't watch it because I haven't seen them myself, and I knew there would be like spoiler stuff happening.
Right, yeah. But this is weird.
Otherwise, I would have watched it to support your channel.
Hey, it's okay. You didn't want that spoiler, so I'm just looking at.
Next time, I'll play it and just walk out of the room.
Yeah. Just give me that sweet ad revenue. But yeah, they're pretty good. They're fun. I do not recommend watching them all in one day because these are long movies. They're like 4 hours long each.
I don't think anyone would recommend watching them all in one day. Like, I don't.
Well, the thing
think
is,
that would have been something anyone would have said.
like theaters used to like do that. Like they'd do a Lord of the Rings marathon at a theater, and people would just go there in the morning and be there until like the end of the day. And I did it at my house.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
Your house sounds better
My
if
house,
you're gonna do
yeah,
it.
because I was honestly like walking around and pacing while watching it.
Yeah, and you get to use your own bathroom.
Yeah,
You're like,
instead of
you don't want to use a movie theater bathroom like 6 times in one day.
and you can pause the movie. You don't miss any. It's like, why would you do that? I'm all for
Yeah.
the theater experience, unless you're doing that.
Okay, just as a broader point about movie theater like marathons, similar to that Lord of the Rings one, they definitely just do those to keep people in the theater and have them buy the really expensive concessions.
Right? Yeah, because especially with like a marathon thing, like most of the time you're packing the house, so that's guaranteed like a packed house of people who are definitely going to buy concessions.
And then some movies have like things where the people are supposed to throw food, right?
Yeah.
So then that's where you're really making the money. They buy the food just
to throw it. Yeah. Albeit then you have to clean it as the movie theater.
Yeah. Is it Rocky Horror Picture Show? Do people throw food?
I don't know. I just know that
I don't know. I might have
the
just made up
room,
that they throw food.
They throw forks or spoons or silverware.
Metal?
Most of the time plastic, but I'm sure a metal spoon and fork has been
Yeah.
thrown at some point. Thankfully not knives. That'd be a different...
Yeah.
That'd be a like giant kitchen knives. They just hate the movie.
And then you like don't throw it far enough, so you just stab someone in the back.
Yeah.
It's like the splash zone at SeaWorld,
Yeah,
but it's
knives.
The knife zone.
The knife zone.
The first few rows, you have to wear like metal ponchos.
Yeah. The back of the theater are the nosebleeds. The top of the theater is the back bleeds.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was really dumb. That was so bad.
Halfway through that, I realized where you were going.
And
with that.
it was bad. It was bad.
No, it was good. That was
Thanks.
That was a Karsten highlight. I think we'll say.
That's going on the talk. Yeah, okay. Well, that's all the news I had. It's honestly like a sad news week. Every time I open Variety, it's just like someone with like terrible allegations or someone died. And I'm just like, well, this isn't podcast material.
Right. We no one wants to hear the Karstcast movie cast talk about Matt Gates.
Right. Yeah. Or why list off more examples?
Just for the record, we're very anti-Matt
Gates
and have been for years.
Yeah, definitely not having him on the podcast anytime soon for anyone.
No, honestly, never. We're never going to have him on the podcast. And hopefully that is mandated by the legal system where he will be imprisoned.
Yeah, right. Well, I think that's enough news. Speaking of
Forever. No, we're going to keep doing the segment. I just meant like,
forever.
What is news?
What is news? Speaking of news, I guess we're talking about speaking of documentation, we're talking about a documentary today.
Yeah.
Called
We Sure Are. I watched it last night.
I saw your Letterboxd review, and I have some questions about that, but we'll get into that in a second. Today we're talking about My Octopus Teacher. I used to think it was called The Octopus Teacher, but it's called My Octopus Teacher.
More personal of a title.
It is a 2020 film, nominated for Best Documentary Feature this year at the Oscars. It is directed by James Reed and Pippa Ehrlich. And the synopsis is honestly probably our shortest one yet. It is a diver swims with an octopus that lives in a kelp forest off the coast of South Africa. And honestly, for as short as that is, well, first of all, that leaves out a lot. And for as short as it is, it has a lot of filler. We didn't need to know that it was in a kelp forest. You could have just said a diver swims with an octopus, but...
yeah, that's true.
I don't know
that kelp forest, though, I did not know that I always kind of just assumed that The Little Mermaid was just making that up,
right?
That type of environment existed.
No,
but apparently
very
it's real.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Jeff, this must hit close to home because you live in
I don't live in a kelp forest.
Water.
There's no kelp forest here. We have nothing like that here. We just have some sand that you shuffle into, and then a stingray will sting you sometimes.
Right. You have clear water, so. You know what? I'm gonna.
No, that's just the name of the place. That's more of a tourist.
Right.
It's like for tourism. It's not actually that clear.
It's really muggy.
It's pretty murky.
Yeah. I don't think I ever would have watched this if it hadn't been nominated for Best Documentary, even though it had like its fan base online. I know my sister watched it because she's like into marine biology, but I was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. I don't think I'll ever watch it. And then I did because it got nominated surprisingly, and it's pretty good. It's a goofy doc for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's the thing. I agree with that. I think we're going to be on the same page here based on that comment.
It is. It's so fascinating to watch. Everyone that I like, everyone I know who has seen the movie has either been like in tears by the end or was like laughing. And I know a few people who've laughed. I'm a part of that group, and I don't know if you laughed, but it is definitely a weird movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't laugh, but the problem is that the amount of drama that is put into this film for something that just does not feel worthy of speaking about it the way that... What's the guy's name again?
I should have had this pulled up. Craig Foster.
Craig Foster. Yeah, the amount of drama that Craig infused into this just really felt overboard, where he was talking about how this octopus was like his best friend.
Yeah.
I just could not get on board with that. I think that, talking about the beauty of nature and this octopus, but I think that the way he described the lessons this octopus was teaching to him was a bit contrived, and it just didn't... I get why he, that's the direction he took this, because I feel like you need some kind of like edge to make this a documentary.
That's so true, yeah.
But it kind of worked like half on me, and then after like a minute, I'm like, oh, wait a second, this octopus wasn't trying to teach him about his son. It was just like kind of moving around.
Exactly, yeah. That sun thing is like the only part of this doc that feels like separates it from being kind of just like this observational, like a guy and an octopus, like a science experiment, into like this meaningful thing. And they just kind of shoehorn it in there at the end. And I'm like, that just feels like bullshit. It's like, I don't doubt it, but I'm also like, I can't take it seriously.
I just think that, it's just... It's about this octopus, but then what he does is he makes the documentary about himself.
Right, yeah.
And then it becomes less about the octopus because he's just, making these connections that don't exist to the octopus.
Yeah.
This octopus is probably just like, why does this weird guy keep coming here?
Right. Yeah.
And he's like, wow, this octopus and me were like best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. For anyone that doesn't know, because we haven't really like described what the movie is, it's this guy, Craig, which he visits this octopus off the coast every day for like a year or something. Which I guess is a good way to transition into your Letterboxd review, which read something like you went to Panda Express every day for a year and no one made a documentary about that.
Yeah, which is
that true?
Almost, it's surprisingly almost true. Like I would say that a couple years of my undergraduate education in Orlando, I went to Panda Express probably 6 days a week. And really all that happened there was that the people who worked there just learned my name and then sometimes would give me extra fortune cookies.
No other benefits. It's just
that was really
that
it.
and just a really messed up digestive system. Well, I don't know what you're doing.
No, actually, that's the thing, is the fortune cookies are actually a digestive cookie. They're supposed to aid in digestion.
Do they actually? Is that what?
Yeah.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That makes all this
Now, I will say the fortunes were a bit suspect.
You're gonna have
most
diarrhea
of them did
tomorrow.
not come true.
Yeah.
No, one of the fortunes said that I was going to prosper in the field of wacky inventions.
Did it actually?
So it did.
That is such a specific.
That's actually a fortune. I know. I'm like, normally there's like, hey, you're going to meet someone in the next year that's going to be nice to you.
Yeah.
Or something. It's like, okay, that's probably true.
Happen.
It's at least hard to disprove. But this one, so far, I have definitely quantifiably not prospered in the field of wacky inventions.
It's such a specific fortune that honestly, like it might happen. Like
Well, okay. Here's the thing: the closest I got was years and years ago. I came up with an idea called the whole mouth toothbrush, and it was where it was like a mouth guard that brushed all your teeth.
All right.
And someone actually brought that to market like 5 years ago. So I missed my chance.
First of all, this is the second time you've brought up the idea for something relating to the mouth on this episode. You had the food hole, and now you have this. I'm noticing a trend. That's not a terrible idea. It definitely is wacky. But
has anyone ever invented a sleeve that you put in your tongue so that you can eat foods that don't taste good?
A tongue condom? Is that basically
right,
what you're...
Because then this terrible super coffee, I could drink it so I wouldn't taste it.
Yeah. I'm sure that would go super well with like kids and vegetables because, kids don't
this
like
is
veggies.
Actually a good idea.
Yeah, well...
If anyone listening can help make this idea, think about this. You could eat whatever food you wanted.
Without the taste.
And you could also have the inside of the sleeve have certain taste to make it like something that's good.
Yeah. I think there'd be a concern of like the chemicals required to make that and putting that in your mouth, I feel like that would scare some people.
I mean, I'm concerned about the chemicals in this terrible super coffee. What is MCT oil?
It's that mocha coffee.
Also, it's sweetened with monk fruit? What is that?
Wait, spelled MONK? Like...
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is, but...
It's terrible tasting, that's for sure.
Monk fruit.
I think they really should have had sweetened in quotation marks.
Sriracha Gross Veroni. Call back to last episode. Also known as monk fruit or Luohan Guo. Yeah, I'm not reading all this, but it's a very specific fruit.
Real quick. The last episode.
Yeah, let's address that.
Let's address this. Our guest was Nate Verone.
Nate Verone.
A friend of mine from Chicago, currently lives in LA. Yep. He's a comedian.
There's a really funny...
When you introduced him, I didn't know that I had to specify this. I thought that you knew. But you introduced him as Nate Verone.
Yeah, Verone.
And then you said that our mutual friend Jaxie told you that's how it's pronounced.
Yep. And she listened to the episode yesterday, and texted me and was like, I have never said Veroni in my life. And I was like...
She texted me saying that too.
I was like, then where the fuck did I hear that? Anyways,
I don't know.
My apologies to both Nate and Jaxie, because that's not his name, and that's not what Jaxie said. I don't know why I said Veroni.
Jaxie verbatim texted me, I want to say I've never pronounced it Nate Veroni. Never once in my life.
Yeah, that was a really dark moment. But my octopus teacher, I will say...
Too bad the octopus teacher didn't teach you how to pronounce Nate
Yeah.
Verone.
I will say I like this documentary in the way it's like shot. I think it's impressive.
Yeah.
Because there's Planet Earth, and then there's this, which I just kept thinking of throughout the movie. I'm like, this is like a much more intimate look. Albeit it feels like invasive at times, but he always seems like he's being relatively respectful about it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, this is a very fascinating look at nature. And I'm like, the more I think about it, I'm like, that's why it got nominated. Not because it's this heartbreaking story, but because it's like such a cool approach to a very impressive approach to documentary.
Yeah, that is the part that I appreciated the most, is that what he's doing is... And some of this is absolutely projecting, right? Like that's what this documentary is him projecting human emotions onto an octopus.
Yeah.
But the way that it's approached in this documentary, where he's anthropomorphizing an octopus, it allows you to feel like you understand this octopus.
Right, yeah.
In a way where something like Planet Earth, which is a much more strict behavioral, observational type of thing, you don't feel like you understand the inner workings of something.
Yeah.
And even if the inner workings you are understanding about this octopus are not necessarily completely true, the fact that you're able to humanize this octopus, I think, puts you in an interesting headspace while watching it.
Totally, yeah. That's a very good way of putting it, yeah. It's just, I can't really say I've like seen something that got this close to a very, I guess, foreign, for lack of a better term, living creature. Like, I don't know. I was like, I really feel like I'm getting to know this octopus.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think it was all necessary. It really like felt, I just would have wanted a little bit more self-awareness from the guy, because it was just so, it was just weird at one point.
Yeah, like when the octopus was like crawling all over him.
Yeah, oh my god, that felt
stuff.
so
It was kinda
erotic.
weird.
And he's like, there's the classic scene in it where he's like, obviously I'm happy mating season has begun, but, and I'm like, no,
yeah,
but
I know.
no,
I'm like,
but
wait, what? This is. It's like, but I wish she would have had me meet him first.
I'd at least like to shake the guy's tentacles. I don't know. It's a terrible joke. This is just a day full of terrible jokes. I will say it was really impressive on his part that he was like, did like some major detective work and found the octopus.
Now, about that, how do we know how hard that was?
Right.
He just made it sound like it was
He made
hard.
it. There was a lot of
He's
gaps.
like, I had to become an expert octopus tracker.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I see a dead crab. That means I must be within 6 meters.
Right.
Like, how do you know that?
Like, it was so cliche the way he had like B-roll of him with like charts and like lines connecting to things in his office.
Okay, a little bit parts of this felt like the fake documentaries in The Life Aquatic.
Oh shit. It literally did. That's so true. Like Bill Murray would do a great job as this guy in a live action whatever.
Now, I absolutely was impressed with how long this guy could hold his breath.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Cuz like, I swam famously, and it's hard. And this guy really held that breath.
Yeah.
So good on him. I will say I have, and I can't remember if I've talked about this on the podcast. I have like a very small phobia of like large bodies of water and the things inside of them, especially like oceans and like seaweed and coral. I just like I could not touch them. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Wait, seaweed and coral? I was thinking you meant like the like predators.
Well, those too, obviously, but also just the plants. I'm just like it grosses me out.
Interesting.
Which is why
I think, yeah,
it was a very hard watch. It wasn't a hard watch, but I was just like, this. I could never do this. I would never do this in a million years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially because he was down there with like sharks at one point. I'm just like,
yeah,
get out of there, man.
I mean, I guess they weren't like that big, and they weren't looking at something like bigger than them.
Yeah. But
yeah, he had a lot of confidence that like nothing was going to attack him.
Yeah.
Which, is an interesting way to live.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's also great the technology is to the point where you can get that kind of footage with such a, like an underwater rig with like a mirrorless size camera, and you'd be like, here's perfect footage. Because he just ended up, at the end of the day, he wasn't making like a nature documentary. He was just a guy who owned a camera who just kept swimming.
Yeah. And he got some like beautiful stuff out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like the octopus riding on the thing. I'm not going to like say more.
Right.
I mean, it's a documentary. I don't know how you can really spoil that, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. I do think he's like I'm glad this documentary, I don't think it's bad at all. I really do like it.
No.
But I'm just like, I wish I wish he didn't, because looking up the synopsis just now, he looks like he produced the movie, which, yeah, he did. Like, he made the whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I feel like it took itself so seriously to a point where I couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what takes it back from...
Okay, because there were shots of him recalling the story, and they would cut to like a different camera, and it was just a shot to edit it to where he would be like crying.
Yeah.
Like they would literally cut to it, and it's because the thing is, when you recognize that editing is a bunch of deliberate choices, they made this weird deliberate choice to cut to him out of context, like crying.
Yeah.
And it just and that's part of what you were saying, where it's just taking itself so incredibly seriously.
Yeah.
And I really do think that the fundamental concept of this film, where you are humanizing nature in a way that is on a more emotional level rather than, observational, I think that's very interesting. Totally. And I think that there's a lot more latitude for other people to explore that type of documentary, which I've not seen before. I just think that, maybe like... don't make the documentary about yourself completely projecting feelings about like your family onto an octopus.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm just like, how does his family feel about this documentary? I don't know. I'm sure they're proud. I don't doubt that, but it is weird.
Some of it did feel pretty like staged.
Yeah.
In terms of like the shot of him like at the end where he's like with his son and then he's like pointing at the ground and talking to him. I'm like, I bet they're pointing at nothing. That's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, he's probably saying, hey son, pretend that I'm showing you something interesting.
And he's like, sure, dad, whatever. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say about it for now. As far as, I guess, because we did talk about this partially because it's nominated. I don't think you've seen any of the other nominees for Best Documentary.
I don't believe so. What are they?
Let me check, because I don't think I have. I've seen. Okay, the nominees are The Mole Agent, which I heard is fun. I heard it's feel good. Collective, which I heard is sad. My Octopus Teacher, Crip Camp, which I've been meaning to check out, and Time. And I watched that one.
Yeah, I had not seen any
Loved
of those.
Time. I definitely want to watch the rest of these, but yeah. As far as, honestly, because I think this is the most popular out of the bunch, it's I haven't seen the others. I can't speak on its accessibility or if it's the best or worst, but I do think it has a pretty good chance at winning the award. So that's that.
And you're famously pretty good at predicting awards.
Actually, not really. I made a whole the biggest like goof on my channel is last year when I was like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is going to win Best Picture, and I made a whole video titled that, and the whole video was arguing why it was going to win, and then Parasite won. And then that video just became like a joke, and I had to like change the thumbnail and the title and be like...
You did that, but you did it on purpose to troll people so they get more views.
I really increased engagement. Let me just say, that video, it took off that night for the wrong reasons, but people were like, nice, man, nice.
Good video.
Yeah. Well, what do you... I already saw your score on Letterboxd, but we'll just recap.
I gave it a 3.5.
Nice.
And it's, mainly... I was going to say why, and then, we just explained why.
We could just sum it up, yeah.
Conceptually, I think it's very interesting and a very interesting approach to wildlife as a subject. And I just think some of the execution was a little bit weird and took me out of it sometimes.
Totally. Yeah. I think I go back and forth between 3 and 3.5. I think I'm going to go 3.5 today because I do think it's really entertaining. I think it's beautifully shot, really well edited.
Yeah.
I just think that, same reasons I think it takes itself a little bit too seriously.
Yeah. And I think that this a documentary that was taking itself this seriously would not have worked about something that was on land. I think that the fact that you're under the sea made the cinematography so mysterious and something you're not used to seeing. And I think that's the only reason why something this seriously worked. I think it almost got in its way, but it's just they used such a large amount of underwater footage that it made up for it.
Totally. Nice. Well, that's My Octopus Teacher. If you guys are curious to check it out, it's streaming on Netflix. Cool. I guess we'll get into questions then.
I love questions.
Me too. This comes from, one of these comes from the Patreon, patreon.com/Karstcast. If you pledge $15, you get your question read in these public episodes. And this one comes from Grant Gow, and it is favorite movie theater and favorite movie-going experience at your favorite theater. We just answered last week a favorite theater experience, but
we didn't say it, but this is different.
This is different.
This is actually a fundamentally different question,
which I appreciate
because my favorite experience, I said, was watching my own, and the Music Box is one of my favorite theaters.
Totally,
but it's not one of the theaters from my childhood.
Right. I respect that.
So I would say my favorite theater is just the theater I used to go to the most when I was young.
Okay.
And that was the Regal 8 at Largo Mall in Largo, Florida. It's such a... Actually, I don't know. I just drove close to it today earlier, but I don't know if it has survived through this.
Yeah.
But it's not a very nice theater.
Yeah, it's a Regal.
First of all, only 8 screens. It has not been updated. Last time I was there, it's looked the same my entire life. But I just had a lot of the movies that I saw ages 3 to my teenage years is where I saw like most of the movies.
Yeah. It's always got that.
So yeah,
attachment.
maybe like, you know, when I saw Space Jam, I remember that still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I would have to go with the Landmark Century Center off the Diversey stop in Chicago. I think Landmark is a fantastic chain of theaters. They always have the best selections because they're not just like an indie art house theater. They do play the indies and they play things that no other theater plays, but they also got the big stuff. So you can get anything at those, and they have great seats and great popcorn. And this one specifically is a very weird. We watched a movie there together. That one,
the Farewell.
Yeah. And
yeah, okay, that's the one with axe throwing.
Yeah, they got axe throw, which I know you don't like it because of that.
Okay, because at quiet parts of the movies, you just hear. Thump.
I've never heard the axes
Thump.
during my.
I've heard the axes. I heard it when I watched Isle of Dogs. There, I just heard the axes.
Damn. Well.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. I've never heard the. Maybe I just get lucky.
Well,
but
you know what I think though? I think since a bunch of people complained, I think they like put a roof on it to like dampen it a bit.
Yeah.
Because before it was open air and it would just like echo around that huge atrium.
Yeah. I think it fixed it because that roof has been on there forever. Yeah. But my favorite experience there was seeing La La Land I think, opening night with our good friend Nahal. Him and I went there, and it was a packed, like every seat filled. It was like before anyone knew anything about the movie, and it was my freshman year, like new to Chicago, and it was a fantastic time. I think that was like, I love that movie, and I loved seeing it in a theater. I was losing my mind.
Very briefly, Best Picture winner.
Yeah, definitely not by the end of the night, but at some point in the night, that movie was the Best Picture. Yeah. I kind of want to rewatch it now that I think about it, but yeah.
It would have been very funny if on like the Blu-rays that they sold, they put like Best Picture winner.
Yeah.
Because technically it did win it for a second.
I mean,
few minutes.
That's the thing. It's like it won it for a few minutes, enough time for them to walk up stage and give part of their speeches. So I'm assuming like on Twitter, there were at least a bunch of pre-planned posts from like the studio and stuff that were like, congratulations, that all had to get deleted.
What Warren Beatty's Best Picture?
Yeah. It's just, it will never. Yeah, it's just funny.
You know, if he was gonna say the wrong thing, he should have said Ishtar.
And everyone be like, yeah, that what? Why did he say that? Because he was in it. Yeah.
He was in it.
He was in it.
He was very good.
Very good in that movie.
He did all his own stunts, and by stunts I mean singing.
Yeah. He's a pretty...
They had to learn how to sing. They had singing coaches.
This next one comes from Lukewarm, from the subreddit r/Karstcast, and it is, any tips for writing a short film with no budget? I think you are better at answering this, Jeff, seeing as though I think you have more experience, but I do have some tips, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I think that the no budget thing, it depends if the no budget also plays into the equipment, that you have available. Mm-hmm. But I think a big thing is trying to find unique locations that you can access for no money. Yeah. Because there's so many no budget things that are just filmed in someone's like living room, and they have no money for light either, so they're just using like practical lights and it just looks terrible. Mm-hmm. And like what's the point? Yeah. So I think you need to find ways to add production value in other ways, where it's like, oh, you're friend of a friend with someone who owns a hardware store, ask if you can shoot in that. Yeah. Something like that. So I think that might be a good tip.
Totally. I also think, as far as like the writing process, and this is only because I've heard this a lot of times from professors and also fellow like filmmaker friends, is that like you shouldn't keep budget too in mind when writing it. That's like don't shoot for the stars. Don't write like a space movie knowing you don't have any budget. But I think you should just like not let that constrict what you want to make. And then once you write it, you can make adjustments from there appropriately. And maybe like, because it's better to do it afterwards than during the process. So yeah, and also, how was that drink, Jeff? How was...
okay, compared to the super coffee, it's amazing. Because it just tastes like kind of weak lemon.
Yeah.
And the coffee tastes like bad.
Yeah, of course. Cool. Well, this last one comes from Quizzical Questioner, and it is...
Quizzical Questioner. Okay, I've never heard that name before, but I like it.
I think we've had one question from Quizzical Questioner. Quizzical Questioner is someone who goes through the questions on the subreddit, asks a lot of very personal and deep questions. I think we answered...
Wait, are these like the... Wait, have we answered one like about philosophy or something?
No, that was from the Karstcast Philosophy Cast on... But...
my mistake.
Easy mix-up. But Quizzical Questioner asked us when the last time we cried was, and I was like, oh, that's a sad question.
Right.
And this one this week is... Quizzical Questioner, for the record, has asked a ton of questions. I've just had to shift through some of them, because some of them are too personal. But this one, I think, is helpful. It is, what are your thoughts on therapy? Which, I have some thoughts on therapy. If it's in your well, okay. A lot of people are always like, everyone should get therapy. And I agree to a certain extent. I think there's no harm in it. But I also like understand people who have attempted to get therapy. That this is one situation. People who've tried to get therapy and have had no success with it, like cannot find any good therapists, and they don't seem to be benefiting from it in any way. I'm like, in that case, it's like, yeah, maybe therapy's not for you. We shouldn't be acting like it's the core solution here. And also, therapy is very expensive and not as accessible as I think a lot of people make it out to be. But that said, I do think if you think it is something that would work for you, even if you don't think you have like something that is itching for therapy, like if you don't have like a giant traumatic event or issue that needs working through, it's like, I still think it's a very helpful tool that everyone should have if they have access to it, because it's healthy. It's good for your mental health.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like talking through things with someone that has training to actually help you, rather than if you try to do this with like your friend and they're like, I don't know, maybe just, tell that guy to suck it. So I think, we're on the same page where I think therapy is something that definitely, if you are able to, you should investigate if you have any thoughts that it might be beneficial. Obviously, everyone's results are going to vary depending on, your own needs, the therapist.
Right. Yeah.
So it's, it's not something where it's like, it's not one thing. Therapy is different for everyone and every therapist.
Totally.
So
yeah.
Hopefully you find some kind of like link between yourself and this person that can work and be beneficial.
Right. And I also think
that might not happen.
Yeah. I also think there's a misconception about therapy that it's like going there to fix a problem, whereas and that's why a lot of people like do it and assume it's just not working. They're like, they didn't fix my depression. And it's like, that's not really what it is. It's like working you through it and like helping you understand what you're experiencing a bit better.
Yeah, and coping mechanisms.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's working through something more than obviously, fixing something.
Right.
Where like Tylenol can fix a headache.
Right.
But this is more of like being able to live with things.
Mm-hmm. So that's what we have for questions. We didn't talk about the movie for next week.
We did not. We did not talk about the movie for next week.
Address that. But
all right, if we want to go like a little bit goofier,
I'm down to go.
It's not really even goofy. It's just like one that no one would expect us to pick.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere here because I was gonna watch again anyways.
Yeah. It is Goal. What are you? What are you?
Goal. The Dream Begins.
The Dream Begins.
Yeah, it's a soccer movie from like 2000 and one of the years in the 2000s.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goal. The Dream Begins. Wait. I remember this. Oh my god, I remember trailers for this. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because I have not seen it in probably 12 years.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should do a double feature.
Okay. Of Goal and Goal. I'm not watching Goal 2. not watching Goal 2. I did not know they made a sequel.
Oh, they made a third one as well that I think went straight to DVD and had like no budget and all different people involved.
And you have?
And it was supposed to be terrible. I haven't seen that. No, that's supposed to be terrible.
I was waiting for you to pull out Goal 3. No, and I was like, you had this 3 on deck. Yeah. All right. So next week we're talking about Goal. Wait. The Dream Begins. It's
true. The Dream Begins, and its Goal 2 is Living the Dream.
It's like the Batman trilogy.
And then goal 3, the one with no budget. I don't know what it's called, but it should be like, okay, the dream's over.
So yeah, get on the lookout for that. Wait, I'm just looking at the. Never mind. Cool. So that's next week's movie. Next, we'd like to read a review. To encourage you guys to leave reviews. We love hearing what you have to say. We're not sure if it still helps in the algorithm this 2 years into the game, but you know,
but we still like to read
them. We love reading them.
It helps my personal algorithm.
Yeah. Okay, this one comes from Fajny2. It comes from Poland, and shout out to Poland. The subject line is title of the review, 5 stars, and it reads, nice, sweet podcast that's very nice to listen to, and that's the whole review. Sorry that this review is pretty short, but I'm at some party with people that I don't know, and some dude is asking me something. That's awesome. Thanks, Fajny.
I hope that was an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
To interrupt the review
yeah.
for.
It must not have been a very interesting party for you to just leave random reviews per podcast midway.
Yeah. Hopefully it got better though.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for that. And lastly, we'd like to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/Karstcast.
/Karstcast.
If you guys would like to become a patron, head on over there where you can get exclusive access to bonus episodes, Q&As, shout-outs at the end of every episode, and much, much more. We're probably going to be doing a Zoom hangout pretty soon here because we're itching. April has zoomed by.
We could do it in person.
We could do it in person.
Not the hangout
not
in
the
person.
Hangout.
We could be in the same place.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We'll nail down a date pretty soon here and tweet it out, put it on the Patreon page, all that jazz. Yeah. In that case, we can do GeoGuessr together in the same room, Jeff. That'll be crazy. Cool. Well, all that out of the way. Thank you, Addison Ware, AJ Ford, Ben Chow, Blake Root, Boy, Brandon Yu, Brock Schultz, Camilla, David Sir, Eden, Grant Gow, Harry Remedianakis, Haytham Khan, I Don't Live in Ohio, Iva, Jaden Easton, Jacob Colness, Jane V, John Van Hout, Jordan Hill, Joshua Krizwicki, Judy S, Justin Dickinson, KDT, Kaylee Patney, Liv Rob, Love You Jeff, Molly Overbow, Manu Ausen, Martin Deff, Martina, Mary Lee Borslow, Me Lovely Daughter, A Squirrel, Micah Simmons, Monroe Page, Nora B, Riley Ost, Robert Burke, Skylar Ermel, Sophia Arieta, Stella Perry, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, Smitty Werbin, Jagerman Jensen, 10 Billion, The Monopoly Man, Tom Likes Beans, Vegard Strom, Vera S, Wakey, it's time for school. Come on, wake up. It's time for school. Come on, man. Are you ready for school? Watch Ford Fairlane, Wes Kinley, Xavier Fossier, and Youssef A. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Cool. Well, I think that does it for the podcast, the 108th episode of the Karstcast MovieCast.
I had a good time talking about that octopus.
Me too. Glad I didn't have to get in this water to have a connection with the octopus.
But, I do have to pack, and I'm taking a road trip starting tomorrow.
Yeah. Good luck on that. Drive safe, Jeff.
Thank you, and hopefully by the end of it, I go to Chicago via Texas.
Yep.
Straight to you.
Yeah. I'll be...
Although you're going from California back to Chicago.
I'm going to California to Minnesota to get the vaccine.
Oh, right.
And then fly back to Chicago.
Perfect. So, we're going to be all over this country. This crazy country we call
going
the United
on a little
States
tour
of America.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, do you have anything else to say?
Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.